This year I'm planting a lot of lavender because I love the way it smells, and you can actually cook with it in some different varieties of lavender. So in this video it is all about germinating seeds, but of course in Jackie fashion I had to experiment as to which different ways can you germinate some lavender seeds, and I found that information quite surprising, so let's go. What's going on, my plant peoples? I am the ADHD gardener, where I use gardening, houseplants, and humor as a much needed form of mental health therapy, sobriety, and learning how to navigate this crazy ass world we live in with ADHD, learning tips, tricks, and hacks that we can find in our garden. And it's all about lavender. Now, fun fact about lavender, there's a few different varieties. You have your English lavender, which is also known as true lavender, or you have the French variety, which is just, I forget the long ass name for it. But the difference between your French variety of lavender and your true English version of lavender is the stem length. Not only that, but it's also the color. One of them has, I think it was the French one that has a deeper color to it, but the English one has shorter stems. I have some varieties right over here that are dried. Notice that those stems are super long. That's the French variety of lavender, and it smells beautiful, but it's actually more potent in smell. It has more like piney wood notes to it, whereas the English variety, or the true lavender variety, that one is more on the subtle side, and that's where the ones, this is the one that they use for cooking a lot. So the stems are shorter, but it's actually sweeter. So this is the one that I'm going to be planting around because, we can always use that for oils, if I wanted to make my own oil or to cook with it. So a lot of stuff. But there's a few different ways of germinating your lavender. First of all, lavender does not like wet feet, okay? It is from the Mediterranean. At least the true English lavender variety is from the Mediterranean. And if you know anything about the Mediterranean, it's dry. It's dry and rocky. But that gives you a clue as to what type of soil environment that it likes. So just keep that in mind, that if you overwater the lavender, that is not a good look. That plant will suffer and it will die. Just throwing that out there. However, when you are germinating the seeds, you are going to need a lot of moisture just to get the seed going. But we'll get to that later because it's tricky to germinate these seeds. Now outside, I have two different varieties of lavender that I grew last year. I think one of them is Lavender Provence, I think, and the other one is one variety, I think is a true lavender variety. One of the beauties about lavender is that they are perennial. They will survive a good old frost, which is kind of great for me because, hey, plant one time and then they'll come back next year. But if you notice in these two varieties that I have outside right now, one of them looks great, one of them does not look so good. Stratification is when your seeds need a cold period in order to germinate. Now you can try to germinate them without that stratifying or cold period, but chances are it's probably not going to work. I mean, it can, but it's really, really low chances. So last year I wound up stratifying my seeds in the refrigerator, and you could totally do that. You just leave your seed package or your seeds, however you're going to be setting them up. I'm going to get to that later because you can use a Ziploc and a paper towel. You can totally put that in the fridge. You can leave it there for like 1 to 2 months. I guess it depends on how cold your fridge is, but that will generally do the trick for it. This year I did something different, which means I left my seeds outside in the cold, like legit outside. Now I have a back porch that is not heated at all, so it is really cold and does get to freezing temperatures. And I left it there for like a month and a half. I just left it there. However, I'm thinking to myself that is going to count as the stratifying period. It's going to have to because it was totally exposed to the cold. So what I did from there is I actually took those two different varieties of lavender, and I'm going to do another experiment. Once I brought those stratified seeds indoors, I started putting them in the Ziploc bags. Now this is where another experiment comes into play. I wanted to know, did it need more stratification, or could you get them germinated right from then? The best way to germinate your lavender seeds is actually through a Ziploc bag and just a wet paper towel. That's pretty much it. Now I have heard some people say that you just leave the seeds exposed, like to the top, but I've actually not done that. I've actually just kind of folded up the paper towel in wet paper towel, and that actually totally worked. So that part doesn't really matter. Okay, I folded it up and that worked. Some people don't, and that also worked. Either way, just Ziploc, wet paper towel, stick it in the fridge. Now I've done that last year. Last year I actually germinated and stratified the seeds through the Ziploc inside the refrigerator. That took like 2 months to get going. Took a long time and a lot of patience. Keynote, patience. I put 2 different varieties of lavender inside of the fridge, but I also did the Ziploc with the wet paper towel, and I left those seeds out in my plant room. So it was in a warm environment, maybe around like 68 to 70 degrees. Actually, it was about 70 degrees. I wanted to know which one was going to germinate faster, considering they were both stratified outside for at least a month and a half in the dead cold. I wanted to know. Cast your bets. Let me know down in the comments below which one do you think is going to work the best. And I gotta say, I got some surprising results. I've left it in the fridge for at least what, maybe about 2 weeks or something. And we're gonna see, has it germinated? Let's find out. And that did not. I am quite surprised. No germination. No germination. Look at all the seeds here. No germination. That is actually quite surprising considering this has been stratified already and further in the refrigerator. Well, okay, that did not work. I'm just going to leave them in the refrigerator. I'm sure if I leave it for a longer period of time in the cold, this would actually work, but I'm quite surprised. And what do we got? What do we got? I got nothing. I got nothing. Yo, 0 germination. 0 germination. What? Okay, that did not work. These, however, have been in my plant room in about 70 degrees already. So we're going to see how these, how these did. All right, this was nice and warm. You see a little bit of humidity going on in there. Let's see how it went. All right, and what do we got here? Open up, open up. All right, let's see how this worked out. Oh, we got germination. Stay with me later on in the video because we're going to be potting this up and get it going because remember, this is still fragile. Very, very fragile, and we're going to need to take really, really, really good care of it. But look at that. We got germination. Okay, this is the other one. This one is from the Dollar Tree. Okay, now if you go from the Dollar Tree, you can get a bunch of seeds for like $1. Well, now it's $1.25. But, oh, already, look at that. Look at that. Oh, man. All right, not everyone has successfully germinated, but we do have a lot of germination going on. Oh, and from the Dollar Tree, of all places. Yo, we got significant germination. Look at that. As far as the refrigerator, I'm thinking that the seeds are still tricked into thinking that it's in the cold period. So I'm assuming that's probably why it is not germinated yet. But let's go pot these up. All right, get your seed starting mix, however or whichever one you're gonna get. I make my own. You're gonna notice that it's got a lot of vermiculite in there. I got my little trusty little tweezers for seedlings. So we're gonna be using that because these seeds, well, these seedlings are super, super, super small. So we're gonna have to be very, very careful, very, very careful in transplanting them. Okay, here we go. Look at that. I'm just gonna make a little hole right here. All right. I feel like I'm doing surgery right here. Look at that. Oh, we're gonna drop that in the hole. And we're gonna cover it all up. Gotta be very careful. Now, this is gonna be still in a very, very fragile stage because notice how small those seeds are. Well, the seedling is actually now. So we're gonna have to take a lot of extra care and precaution with this still. So I'll get to that in a little bit, but let's keep transplanting some of these seedlings. If you've germinated these seeds directly into the soil from the beginning, let me know in the comments below because I am curious to know if it worked out. All right, you can barely see them right now, but the rest of them, I did plant some of the seeds inside of here. Some of them were starting to open up and germinate, but the rest of these, I'm just gonna put in a Ziploc bag and continue the germinating process. But I will also actually just see what happens. These are in a very, very, very fragile state, so I really do not want these to dry out at all, at least until they establish. I wanna see the first true leaves, which are the leaves that are after the first ones that pop up. So not that I'm gonna need this, but I want to try to trap in a little bit of the humidity. This is not trapping in too much of it, however, just probably enough to keep some semi-moisture. But we shall see how this goes. I hope you enjoyed this video and you got some really good information out of it. Let me know down in the comments below. How did you germinate your lavender seeds? Did it work out one way? Were you surprised in another way? And did it ever, just work out altogether? Did you finally get a seedling to actual full-blown plant? I would love to know. Let me know down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to smash that like button. I really appreciate it. And until the next episode, you guys, where you and me both are going to be growing our happiness one plant at a time, one day at a time. I'll catch y'all later. God bless you all. Peace and love.